In the last lecture, we have seen the little bit introduction of MOS structure, physics of MOS structure. So this diagram we have gone through. Am I audible?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So in the last lecture, we have seen the background of the MOSFET, means what are the types of transistor, what are the differences between the BJT and the MOSFET, and why we prefer the MOSFET over the BJT. And we have started with the basics of the MOS structure before entering to the topic MOSFET. So this was the physics of the MOS structure that we have discussed in the last lecture, that you can consider MOS structure. MOS structure means metal, oxide, and semiconductor. These are three layers actually. So in this case, you can consider a metal and semiconductor as a two parallel plate of the capacitor, and in between of that, there is certain gap. Maybe air media is there, that is considered as an insulator, or maybe some other insulating material could be used to make a capacitor. So the general structure of the capacitor, and we have applied a voltage where the negative terminal is connecting to the top plate and positive is connected to the bottom plate. Okay, and now we have to see that there is a charge has been deposited at the top plate. It is a negative charge, and at the bottom plate there is a positive charge, and it is working perfectly as a capacitor. Okay, now we have to know what is the formula of the capacitor also. C is equal to epsilon naught A upon D. So area is the cross sectional area of the plate, and D is the distance between the plate is there, and epsilon is the permittivity of the insulator. Now we have to move forward and use this capacitive structure as a MOS structure. So what the changes we have to do in the next slide? If you have to see in the next slide, so the bottom plate, that is replaced by a semiconductor, P-type semiconductor, and the top plate has been replaced by a metal structure. So you can easily see here, this is the metal structure, and this is the semiconductor, P-type semiconductor is there, that is playing the role of bottom plate, and in between that we have to use a SiO2 layer, that is playing the role of the insulator or dielectric here. Okay, and when you apply the voltage, similar voltage we are applying at the top. There is aluminum metal where we have applied a negative polarity of the voltage source, and at the bottom plate where is the semiconductor, we have applied the positive polarity of the voltage source. Then what happens? Negative charge would be start to deposit on the surface of the metal. So top metal is here called as a gate. Okay, and it is at the negative voltage with respect to the bottom semiconductor substrate. Now from this example we can say that there is a, just like the structure of the parallel plate capacitor as we have seen in the previous diagram. Now the electric field has been induced. So which direction? It is clearly shown in the picture, from the positive to negative. Generally electric field direction is always from the positive to negative side. So here also the same direction, the electric field has been generated, and this electric field would be penetrate the semiconductor. The holes, because it is a P-type semiconductor, so majority charge carriers are holes. So holes in the P-type semiconductor would be experience of force due to the applied electric field towards the oxide semiconductor interface. So if you have to see here, in this case, this electric would be experience, this holes would be experience of force from the semiconductor towards the oxide side. So in this particular interface, oxide semiconductor interface, this is area where it would be experience of force. Now see what would be happen next in the next diagram. where the MOS capacitor with the accumulation rail of force we have going to be shown. So due to this applied force, what happens? The amount of force present in the p-type semiconductor would be attracted towards the negative charge, and as in between the metal and semiconductor there is oxide layer, that is insulator actually, so it does not allow to jump the holes from the semiconductor to the metal side. So this hose would be start to accumulating, on the boundary of the oxide and semiconductor. Here you can see easily, this is the boundary. I am just highlighting here. This is the boundary here, where you can see the accumulation of the holes or positive charge carriers are there. Okay, this is called this process is called the accumulation of holes. Now, after that, what is going to happen? Now we would be seeing the next diagram. We have to be, that was the accumulation. Second process is called the depletion layer creation. So for that purpose, we have reversed the polarity of the voltage source. Whatever the voltage, DC voltage source you have used, or maybe you can say battery you can connect. So this would be connected in this manner, that positive terminal of the voltage source would be connected to the metal and negative terminal would be connected to the semiconductor. Now the polarity has been reversed, so the direction of the electric field has been also reversed. So in this case now you would be see that due to the reversal of the polarity of the voltage source, now the positive charge would be start to deposit on the metal surface, and due to this deposition of the positive charge, there would be apply an electric field that would result as an electric force actually, that would be push the holes present in the p-type material away from the oxide semiconductor interface. In this case, due to this electric field, what happens? Electric field would be penetrates the semiconductor, and holes present in the p-type metal would be experience of force away from the oxide semiconductor interface. So opposite process is happening as compared to the accumulation. Now what is happening? Holes are pushing away from the interface. So due to that, what happens? Whatever the result would be there, that would be actually in this particular region. This is called the oxide semiconductor interface. So all the positive charge would be reflected and going away from this. So obviously this particular region, there is some area would be created, that is devoid of the any kind of charge carrier. So we have to be see, as the holes are pushed away from the interface, a negative space charge region is created, and because of that, fixed acceptor impurity atoms. So what happens in this particular region? Which region? I will be highlight here. Here, this is the region where, because of this electric field, what happens? Holes would be going away. So here the negative charge space region would be created. This is not actually negative charge. This is acceptor ions, that is having the property of the negatively charged. But this does not a mobile carrier. It does not carry any kind of current. Okay. So because of the absence of the positive holes, there is a negatively charged space region would be created, that is electrically inactive. So we have to be see. So negative charge in the induced depletion. This is called the depletion region now, because of the negatively charged bottom plate of the MOS capacitor. Now you can see in this picture clearly what I actually want to say, that in this particular area, as the force is increases and the oxide semiconductor interface, this is the negatively charged space charge region, that is called the depletion region. So the depth of this depletion region is xt. Okay, so this is the second process. First is the accumulation, second one is the depletion region creation. Now if you would be increase the value of this voltage, if you would be increase the value of this voltage, then what happens? If you would be increase the value of this voltage, this positive impact of the positive ions or charge would be increases. So now it would be apply more force. It would be apply more force to push the holes away from the oxide semiconductor interface. And because of that, all holes would be deposit here, bottom. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what I am saying, as you increase the value of this voltage, more amount of force or reactive fluid would be applied to these holes, and these holes would be pushed more away from this interface. And because of that, what happens? There is a whatever the minority charge carriers. Here the minority charge carriers are what? These are the electrons. So these electrons would be attracted toward the interface. Because of this positively charged ions, these negatively charged electrons would be attracted toward the interface of this particular structure, and due to that there is a inversion layer would be created. That is called the electron inversion layer. You can see in the diagram, this electron inversion layer is there, that is having the negatively charged, and it is due to the minority charge electrons that has been attracted. And the magnitude of this charge of in the inversion layer is a function of applied gate voltage, this voltage. So as the voltage would be increases, more amount of minority charge carrier would be attracted towards the interface of the oxide and p-type semiconductor, and due to that electron inversion layer has been created. Now on this region, it is susceptible to the flow of electric current. So it would be allow the flow of the electric current. Okay. So in this way, if you have to see the operation of the or physics behind the MOS structure, it would be work in the three regions. One is called the accumulation, second one is called the depletion, and third one is called the inversion. The same concept would be applied to understand the operation of the MOSFET. So we have to be see why we are saying the MOSFET as an enhancement type MOSFET. Generally, we are going to learn in this particular semester about the N-channel enhancement type MOSFET. So the word enhancement means what? The term enhancement mode means that a voltage must be applied to a gate to create the inversion layer. Okay. And for the MOS capacitor, with the p-type substrate, a positive gate voltage must be applied to create the electron inversion layer. Okay, so we have learned the MOS capacitor that is made up by the p-type substrate. Similarly, you can use n-type substrate to make a MOS capacitor, but at that time, for creation of the inversion layer, you have to be apply a negative gate voltage. And at that time, we have to be say that it is a whole inversion layer. Okay. So this is the way the MOS capacitor works or MOS structure works. Now we have to be see the construction of N-channel enhancement type MOSFET. That's why it is called the E-MOSFET. Means N-channel enhancement type MOSFET. So the N-channel E MOSFET consists of a moderately doped P-type silicon substrate into which two heavily doped N plus regions, that is called the source and drain, are diffused. The surface of the substrate region between the drain and source is called channel, which is covered by a thin insulating layer of silicon dioxide, that is called the gate oxide. Over this oxide layer of SiO2, there is a polycrystalline silicon electrode that is referred as a gate. So we have to be see in the next diagram what are the called source, drain, channel and gate. Now you can see from this diagram of the N-channel E MOSFET. So this is the area. This is called the P-type substrate. This is a 3D picture actually. So this is the P-type substrate over which we have deposited a SiO2 layer uniformly of the top surface of the substrate. Okay, so this is SiO2 layer, this is SiO2 layer. Okay, and at the top, as per the MOS structure, the metal layer, that is called the gate, is here. We have deposited. Okay. Now, as per the structure, your MOSFET would be also having two more terminal, that is called the source and drain. That is not present in the MOS structure, but it is present in the MOSFET transistor. So here you can see here, between above the P-type substrate, there is a metallic layer that is called the source, and similarly at the other direction, this is another metallic layer that is called the drain, and the area, length, width, thickness, all of drain and source are same. Okay, so the length between the area, you can say, between this source and drain, it is called the length of your channel. So where the channel would be formed, you can see here. So these are the two N plus, this is the N heavily doped N material. This is the heavily doped N material. Both are diffused to make the source and drain region. So the length between the source and drain, or distance between the source and drain, it is called the channel length, because a channel would be formed in between this area. Okay, and generally the channel length and gate length are similar, practically a little bit different, and the width of this channel, or you can say the gate, in the lateral extent, that is called the W width. So these are the terms and the parameters used to defining the construction of the N-channel E MOSFET. Why I am saying the N-channel? Because we are using a P type of substrate and N plus doped source and drain. So because of this N plus materials, the channel would be formed here. That would be due to the electrons. That's why it is called the N-channel. If I am using here a N-type material as a substrate, so I have to be deposit P plus source and drain here. So whatever the channel would be formed, that is called the P-channel MOSFET. So both type of MOSFETs are actually possible and available in the market. Apart from this, if you have to be seen in this diagram, so what you will be see, there are the certain voltage has been marked and the terminal has been marked on the diagram. So you have to be see here, first there is a gate terminal that is connected to the gate surface, then there is a drain terminal, and at the last there is a source terminal. Okay, so at the gate terminal we have applied a positive voltage terminal of the supply, and the source would be always connected to the ground or lowest potential. So because of that, the voltage difference between this source and the gate, that would be referred as VGS, because gate is more positive than the source. Gate is more positive than the source. Similarly, we have to apply another voltage, that is called the VDS. That would be positive terminal would be connected to the drain, and negative terminal is connected to the source, or you can say the source is always connected to the ground, that is also. So it is called as a VDS. Positive side is connected to the drain and negative side is connected to the source. These two voltage will be applied for the flow of current across the MOSFET. Now, one more terminal that we have not seen yet, that is called the this body. It is called the body or substrate terminal. That is indicated by the capital B. So this would be also connected to the most negative supply, or maybe it is shorted with the source. Means source and body would be grounded. So these are the terminals that are basically used for MOSFET operation. Okay. Now we have to see the gate, oxide and P-type substrates regions are the same as those of the most capacitor. And only we have added the drain and source terminals. Since the oxide layer is an insulator, so the current through the gate and channel essentially are zero, because there oxide is insulator, so no current would be allowed across it. And this is the condition when you have not applied any positive gate voltage and drain voltage. Simple structure of the MOSFET would be carry a zero current. But when you have to apply the voltage source to the gate terminal and the drain terminal and apply the positive voltage on this terminal, so the channel would be formed and current would be start to flow. So current in the MOSFET is a result of flow of charge in the inversion layer, also called the channel region, adjacent to the oxide semiconductor interface. And channel length is indicated by the L and width is indicated by the W. We have already seen the diagram. Now we have to see the operation of the MOSFET. So what is the basic transistor operation? So you have to see, this is the cross-sectional view of the MOSFET has been shown. In the previously we have seen the 3D diagram. Now it is the cross-sectional view of the MOSFET. So where we have able to see only the P-type substrate, N-type source and drain area and the terminals and the gate, and in between there, if you have to see here, this is your SiO2 layer. This is your SiO2 layer. SiO2 layer. Oxide. And this is the length of the channel. Okay. We can't show the width because it is a cross-sectional view. And this is the second diagram. If you have to see, I have to be shown the two back-to-back connected PN junction diagram. So why I have shown, we have to be discussed. You can see here there is a P and there is an N metal. So it is one of the PN junction diode structure. This is another PN junction diode structure. So these are the two PN junction diode structure like. That's why I have shown here. Okay. So it is, you can say, the source terminal. So it is the N, here N, and here the P is there. That means substrate. Again, this substrate is P is here and N is towards the drain terminal. So this is the two back-to-back PN junction diode. You can see. So with zero bias applied to the gate, if you have to see, the source and the drain terminals are separated by the P region, as shown in the first picture 5A. And the equivalent to back-to-back diodes are shown in the 5B. Current in this case is essentially zero. Why it is zero? Can anyone tell me? Why the current is zero? with zero bias. Why the current is zero? Please, anyone? You can see here a general physics is involved here. This drain is always a positive charge and it is always a negative or ground terminal. So you can see as the physics of the PN junction diode. So this is the cathode terminal and this is the anode terminal. So anode terminal should be always a positively charged and cathode terminal should be always a negatively charged. So it is a forward bias condition. So this diode would be conduct. But when you have to come to the drain area, so this is positively charged drain. So because of that, this cathode is connected to here. So it is a reverse bias condition. Okay, it is here a reverse bias condition. That's why it would be not conduct. So this is the main reason why the current is zero. Okay, back to back connected ion. Now to start the flow of current across the drain and source, what we have to be do. So for this purpose, we have to see in this diagram, figure 5C, after the formation of the electronic inversion layer. If large enough positive gate voltage would be applied, in the previous case we have not applied any gate voltage, now we have applied a large positive gate voltage. So an electron inversion region would be or layer would be created here. The concept we have already seen in the MOS physics. Why this inversion layer has been created? Because of this positive charge, the magnetic charge electrons would be attracted and would be created electron inversion layer. Okay, and this region is layer is created at the oxide semiconductor interface, and this layer connects the N source to the N type of drain. So it would be established a bridge between the N type source to the N type drain. So here it would be apply a bridge connection in between them. Now, then because of this connection, what happens? A current would be generated between the source and drain terminal, and since the voltage must be applied to the gate to create the inversion charge, this transistor is called the enhancement mode. So where we have to be apply a voltage to create an inversion layer, that is called enhancement mode MOSFET, and where there is inbuilt channel is there, that is called a depletion mode MOSFET. So here we are learning about the enhancement mode MOSFET. Okay. Now also since the carrier in the inversion layer are electrons, this is called the N-channel MOSFET that we have already discussed. The source terminal supplies the carriers that flow through the channel, and the drain terminals allow the carriers to drain from the channel. So this is the direction of the flow of the carriers. So carriers and electrons would be start to flow from source terminal, and it is gone through the channel and reach to the drain terminal. Okay, this is the direction of flow of the electron. But as we know that as a conventional current would be always flow opposite to the flow of the charge carrier or opposite to the flow of the electron, we have to be see for the N-channel MOSFET, electron flow from the source to drain with an applied drain to source voltage. That means conventional current enters at the drain terminal and leaves the source. So whenever you would be show the direction of flow of current, in the N channel E MOSFET, in any circuitry or in any conventional. So you have to be always show the direction of current from drain to source, not source to drain. Okay. So the magnitude of the current here is a function of amount of charge in the inversion lead, which in turn a function of amount of applied gate voltage. Okay. So how much amount of current would be flow? That would be depend upon the applied gate voltage value. So now we have to be see the ideal E MOSFET current voltage characteristics. So before going to the actual characteristic diagram, we have to be define certain parameters. The first parameter is threshold voltage. So it is very important parameter for MOSFET. The threshold voltage of N-channel MOSFET is denoted by the VTN. If it is a P channel, so it is VTP. Okay. In general, you can define it as a VTH. So what is the threshold voltage? It is defined as applied gate voltage needed to create the inversion charge in which the density is equal to the concentration of majority carriers in the semiconductor substrate. Or in a simple language, the threshold voltage is defined as amount of applied gate voltage needed to create the inversion region. Or it would be amount of gate voltage required to turn on the MOSFET. So this would be shown here in the diagram, figure 6a, where we have to be apply a gate to source voltage. That is, here gate to source voltage is less than threshold voltage. This is the first case. Source is and substrate is shorted to each other and connected to the ground. Drain is given as some positive voltage. Okay, but still that ID is 0. The main reason is what? Because gate to source voltage is less than threshold. So in this case, till the gate to source voltage is less than threshold, there is no drain current would be flow between drain to source. Okay, no inversion region has been created. Now we have to be increase the gate to source voltage to create the inversion region. You have to be seen in the second picture. Now VGS would be increases. In this case, VGS is greater than the threshold voltage, and because of that, what happens? And drain to source voltage is remain the same value as in the previous case. Okay. Now because of this, what happens? Electron inversion region has been created, and due to this reason, what happens? Now there is the channel has been established between the drain and source, and it would be allow the flow of drain current from drain to source region. So this is the minimum requirement to start the flow of current. First, VDS should be some positive value. Second, gate to source voltage should be greater than threshold voltage. So the conventional current enters the drain terminal and leaves the source terminal. Note that a positive drain voltage creates a reverse bias drain to substrate PN junction. So the current flow through the channel region, not through the PN junction. Here see, current is flow through this channel region, not through the not through this particular drain to substrate. Because here the reverse bias is there. So here there is no possibility of flow of charge current. It is only possible to go through the channel. Now we have to see through the graph or the plot of the ID versus VDS. So the ID would be plot always in the y-axis, and VDS would be plot always in the x-axis. Okay. So in this case, how to plot this graph? When VGS is less than VTN, Then there is zero current, that is shown by this dashed line. And when VGS is increases from the VTN or threshold voltage, there is some amount of positive current would be start to flow because of the formation of the inversion region. And as you would be increase the VDS, your current would be also increases. Okay, the first requirement is VGS should be greater than VTN, and second, as you increase the VDS, your current would be increasing. So with the larger the gate voltage, larger inversion region is created, and drain current is increases as VDS is increasing. You can see here there is a comparison between the two gate to source voltages shown here, where VGS2 is greater than the VGS1. For the same amount of drain to source voltage, the current produced by this VGS2 is greater than the VGS1 because the value of VGS2 is larger than the VGS1. So this is also one of the relationships. Now move forward. This is the structure of the MOSFET when you apply a positive gate to source voltage greater than the threshold and positive drain to source voltage. And this is the example for the small VDS value. So at that time you can see a linear relationship between the drain current and the VDS voltage. Okay, so it is increased linearly for a very small value of the VDS value. And you can see also here in the diagram